to a new edition of our show, Money Means Business. As we always say, in business means money. And a lot of things like security and stability mean a lot of money. I'm Nermin Nazim, broadcasting live from Cairo, the microcosm of the whole universe, Egypt. A lot has been happening recently, today, and every day has been happening here. President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi inaugurated on Saturday the monthly session of Youth Dialogue. A number of files were tackled during the session, including education, economic situation, as well as youth-suggested initiatives. The Presidential Information Office said that youth from universities and political parties were invited to participate in the session. The session also reviewed the latest achievements of the National Youth Conference, which was held in Sharm el-Sheikh during the month of October. President al-Sisi decided to hold a monthly session to follow the recommendations of first youth conference held in Sharm el-Sheikh last October. Also a very important item here is Egypt and China signed a $2.6 billion currency swap, boosting pound flotation. Egypt and China signed a currency swap deal for about $2.6 billion, allowing the North African nation, Egypt, to shore up foreign reserves after the liberalization of the currency last month. The deal, signed between the Central Bank of Egypt, the CBE, and the People's Bank of China, will last 3 years and can be extended upon agreement of both sides. Egypt's central bank said that the swap complements a series of measures taken which aim to unleash the vast potential in the Egyptian economy and install confidence of bolstering economic activity. Propping up Egypt's reserves is a major aim of the government, with the liberalization of the pound last month to end crippling foreign currency crisis, having fallen to about half their value in the years after the 2011 ouster of long-time ruler Hosni Mubarak. Reserves reached their highest level in more than 5 years in November. And we do have a lot more to talk about in this edition. And we have with us our guest, Dr. Mohammed Abdelaziz, Professor of Tourism Studies here in Egypt. Hello, sir.
Welcome to you.
Welcome with us. So we go for a short break, after which we'll be coming back talking about our issues. Stay tuned to us. Don't go. We're going for a report and coming back.
Egypt and China signed a currency swap deal for about $2.6 billion, allowing the North African nation to shore up foreign reserves after the liberalization of its currency last month. The deal, signed between the Central Bank of Egypt and the People's Bank of China, will last for 3 years and can be extended upon agreement of both sides. Egypt's central bank said the swap complements a series of measures taken which aim to unleash the vast potential of the Egyptian economy and instill confidence by bolstering economic activity. Propping up Egypt's reserves is a major aim of the government, which liberalization of the pound last month to end crippling foreign currency crisis. Having fallen to about half their value in the years after the 2011 ouster of Hosni Mubarak, reserves reached their highest level in more than 5 years in November. Hani Farahat, senior economist, said larger reserves mean stronger firepower on part of the central bank, which should boost confidence in the pound and support the liberalization process. The Egyptian pound strengthened 0.7% this week, trading at 17.55 per dollar, according to data from National Bank of Egypt. It had lost about 50% of its value following the November 3rd liberalization. The swap is part of the bilateral support Egypt secured to conclude a $12 billion International Monetary Fund loan deal last month. The deal also complemented a series of measures taken by Egypt for unleashing the enormous potentials of its economy and instill confidence by bolstering economic activities. Egypt and China celebrate this year the 60th anniversary of diplomatic relations, and the two countries and high-profile delegations at all levels have been meeting frequently since the year 2015.
Welcome back again to Money Means Business, and our guest is Dr. Mohammed Abdelaziz, Professor of Tourism Studies. Welcome, sir.
Welcome.
We've got a very important occasion for the whole Islamic world that is taking place tomorrow. So we congratulate actually the Islamic nation on the occasion of the birth of Prophet Muhammad. Peace be upon him, and the floor is yours now.
All right. Actually, I would like to start by the terrorist attack which took place yesterday in Giza area.
Yes.
Actually, most of the channels, they were just broadcasting the news as if it was happening nearby the pyramids area, which is not completely true.
Yes.
Actually, it's in Giza area, very far from the touristic place. And by the way, what was happening yesterday, it might happen in any cities all over the world.
Definitely.
And we saw it happen plenty of times.
It is happening,
yes,
actually right now. Like we see it every day, everywhere.
And we saw it happening in several cities in Europe as well. And as a matter of fact, I would like to correct some mistakes, because these mistakes was they were trying to make the things happen like it was happening nearby the pyramids, which is actually not. It's very far from the pyramids area. Meanwhile, some people in Egypt were trying to do some to use some new applications on Facebook to say that they are safe. What I want to tell them here, that this means that we are having a big disaster in our country, and this is not true. To mark yourself as safe, it means that we are facing a terrible disaster, which is not true. It's a terrorist attack, very simple attack. It's similar to many terrorist attacks that happens.
At least not like the Bataclan event that was horrible.
So please stop doing this, because this is affecting very much the image of Egypt as a touristic destination. Please stop this.
Okay. More actually, to talk about is the decrees that have been taken by the Civil Aviation Minister. What do they entail? What are they about, and the repercussions?
His Excellency, the Ministry of Civil Aviation, declared that he will discharge the fees for the airport, for the airlines coming from a third destination. I mean here that not from the origin destination, but moving tourists from a third destination. This will be discharged from the fees for 8 destinations in Egypt. Let me tell you what are the 8 destinations. It's Luxor, Aswan, Hurghada, Sharm el-Sheikh, Marsa Alam, Taba, Alamein, and Marsa Alam. I think this will encourage very much the airlines to resume their flights to this destination once again, and hopefully that the new year time and the Christmas time will enjoy having a raise up in the occupancy in our hotels in Egypt destinations.
Okay. Well, how do you expect now with these events and some trying to again smear with any small event the image of Egypt to stop tourists from coming? We heard news about Thomas Cook sending flights, 36 flights a week. More like things are just like coming up and more tourists are coming. How do you see the whole situation?
Look, normally in this month of the year, I mean December, the occupancy percentage all over Egypt is quite the same like we are running now. Because normally people are stopping themselves from coming from any other destination, especially in December, to attend the Christmas time and the New Year time and so on.
Yes.
So we are using to have such a low rate occupancy in our destinations in this period. But to talk frankly, as I said before, we are not doing what we're supposed to do.
Exactly.
We are still behind. We are still steps behind what we're supposed to do. Normally, as I said before, millions of times, we do not need a marketing campaign. We do not need anything else. We need to change the image of the of Egypt and the destinations all over the world. If we will succeed to change the image, I'm quite sure that we will receive plenty of requests to attend the New Year and the Christmas Eve parties in Egypt in our destinations. Number two, as I said also before, we are still facing a lot of problems, especially in the hotel sectors. We are having a lack of staff. We do not find enough people to work in hotels. And meanwhile, most of the hotels became very old. They do need a full renovation. People who are coming to our destination are coming to enjoy their holidays. Imagine enjoying your holiday in a hotel where, for instance, the air conditioning is not working, or for instance, there is not enough people to serve him in the restaurant or over the pool. This is what we are talking about. And I think this will not go on until the government will take care of what we are saying here now. Number one, the staff. We have to launch a campaign for training and development for those people who are working in hotels and for those other people who are graduated from the faculties of hotel and tourism, from tourism and hotel management, so that we will have enough people from this side to cover the gap which is existing in the industry. And meanwhile, for those people, I mean here for the other people here in hotels, these hotels who becomes very old, we need to discuss with the owners of these hotels to start a full renovation for their hotels. And as a matter of fact, to ensure that this will happen and will take place, I think the Ministry of Tourism should send always someone to supervise what is happening and to ensure that this maintenance were done and that the shape and the rooms of the hotels are ready to receive tourists once again.
Okay, talking about renovations and again talking about that, like now we know very well that there are things that should happen, in certain times. We have peak season, a very high season, we know when. Then there are other seasons that tourism is very low, and that could be taken advantage of as to start renovating everything that should be renovated, so that when the tourists come, there will be no problems like that and complaints all the time. So
yes, my dear, that's why I was telling you the timing is very important.
Definitely.
I cannot run a full renovation while I'm receiving guests and I'm running in a high season. I used to say this in summer, because in summer usually we are not getting enough piece of business from Europe or from any other place from the world. We used to have from Russia, but you know very well that since what happens last November, the Russian market stopped this generating business into our destinations. And that's why I was telling hundreds of times, we have to start an innovation. There were a lot of time enough to do this renovation, but unfortunately, nobody were hearing what we are saying here.
Yes, yes. Well, that nobody listens or hears. Who's taking the decisions when we know very well that we're in need of tourism and we're just starting all over again and from scratch, because we just reached rock bottom when this the 2011 thing happened, and we just went on in 5 years. So it's very hard. So now like we said, we're just doing things with a different mind. What are the different minds that are just doing things the right way, in the right timing? We see that everything is running upside down. We have lack of people who are trained to work. We have lack of everything going on right now due to the 5 years that we went through, and the people working in the industry were suffering and still suffering shortages in everything, and of course their own salaries, and that is very hard. Where to start from, and then these decisions that are taken in the wrong timings. When are we going to stop that?
For sure, this should be from the Ministry of Tourism itself, because as a matter of fact, if I will put myself in the owner's shoes, the owner will say, I'm not getting enough business, I'm not getting enough money, so I cannot start a renovation now.
Yes.
And for him, he will stay until the business will resume and he will get enough money to start the renovation. But on the other hand, if I will wait to do this renovation while people are coming, those people will suffer.
Of course.
And of course, in this case, those people who will come in this period and will suffer being in a hotel that needs a renovation will go back and will never ever come back again.
Definitely.
This is what we are talking about.
Actually, this is what we are doing.
This is exactly what we are doing. You know what, I have that feeling that each and everyone working in the tourism industry is trying as much as he can to stop people coming from their countries into Egypt.
It looks like that, which is really strange, because we talk about, and President Sisi talked about tourism, encouraging tourism, and doing this and doing that. We talk about, like the right things to do, but then, people working in the industry themselves are just stopping people from coming. While, like, I don't know whether they realize this or not, but what they're doing is just forbidding people from coming because it makes them have a bad experience coming here. So we're not talking about a minor terrorist attack or let's say a small bomb or whatever has been happening, because people can come and enjoy their times really well if things are done the right way. But we talk about timings. They're not observing timing. They're not observing anything. They're putting impediments, in every, like with the laws of investment. We don't know what's going on, like right now, what do they aim to do?
As we used to say, if we are not planning, then we are planning to fail. Imagine what was happening in Aswan railway station.
Yes.
There were a Korean group coming by train to Aswan.
Yes.
And whenever they arrived to Aswan, the railway station of Aswan was a real disaster. Are they waiting for the high season when people are coming to start the needed maintenance? Is this the right timing?
Of course not.
Of course not. What if one of those tourists was hurt or was injured or something like this? Who will be responsible for this?
Well, they say Egypt, this happened, and Egyptians are not this. They're this, and like accidents or whatever. Of course, you'd have a reputation.
People will have very bad experience, will have bad memories, and in this case, they will go back to their countries. And as we used to say also, the negative word of mouth, they'll start to spread all over. Their relatives, their friends, their colleagues, and all over. And especially with the presence of the social media.
Yes.
If you will write something on your account, each and everyone
shares it.
Of course, of course. And especially if it is something important or related to you.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, this is what is happening each and every day. On the other hand, I knew that in Abu Simbel, about a week ago, there were a traffic accident. And it caused the death of a Japanese tourist. You know what? We do have one of the biggest centers for driving learning all over the Middle East. And this center actually was launched by Mr. Hussein Barran, who was prime consultant for the Ministry of Tourism. And he did it according to the latest updated in Europe. It's exactly like, it's similar to another center in Belgium. One of the best centers you can ever see in your life. And this center was launched especially for those drivers for the tourism sector. But unfortunately, as we say, no one is planning. The center was closed.
Yes.
And even when the center was open, those people owning the travel agencies, they never send the drivers to take the session there or to have enough training and learning.
Would that cost them so much that they wouldn't?
No, it is not that costly. And by the end of the day, if we are talking that even if it is costly, we are not talking here about money. We are talking about lives. We are talking about tourists who are coming into our destination, and they have to feel safe.
Yes.
If we are comparing the money with the safety of those people, I think that it is not a fair comparison between both of them. This center, so I do recommend that this center will be reopened again, and whoever will be responsible to drive a tourist vehicle supposed to pass there to have a certificate before going with hundreds of people on the streets. And
why don't they make it as a prerequisite before giving them a license to drive, especially in this field? It's not mandatory to do that. There's no choice in doing this. If you really are responsible for lives, then you're going to take that and pass and take a certificate. Because now Egypt is one of the, the forefront countries that is having accidents. So that's really a shame.
Yes, of course. This is exactly what I'm talking about. Why don't we put it as a prerequisite for any driver before taking the job in any travel agency?
Yes.
Here, as you said before, our reputation, and especially on the traffic accidents, is very bad. We have also to change this image, and especially for those tourists, because normally if a normal person will have an accident, of course we do care about him. But if a tourist will have an accident, imagine how this thing will go through the social media and will be spread all over, and each and everyone will share it from one person to another. Look, this is Egypt. This is where accidents are taking place. This is happening on a daily basis.
Yeah.
I do recommend to reopen this center once again, and to put it as a prerequisite for those drivers, and especially in the tourism agencies, before taking their jobs, to go there to have enough training and enough learning to have their certificates. Okay,
this is a very important thing. But then, again, for the rest of things in the recommendations about the overhauling of a place, renovations that are taking place in the wrong times always, well, mines that are supposed to be taking care of or taking decisions in tourism in the right times, but then we're doing the wrong things. So how to rectify all that and just go the right way? This is not a way to start rebuilding a country and just going ahead. As you said, it's like we have the feeling that either are they doing it on purpose to just drive away tourists? This is one thing, because some people are in the industry, they just belong to certain trends. Or is it, that this is, lack of experience, but then they are in positions that should allow them to actually, they're not in these positions unless they have experience. This is why they were promoted to take decisions. But what we see is contrary to that.
You are absolutely right.
What to do in this?
Look, first of all, responsibles. Who is responsible? If I will put myself here to judge, we cannot judge those people because those people are who suppose that they are the responsible for what is happening. Why don't we have a new generation? And to put this new generation in each and every place, in the tourism, in the Ministry of Tourism, I mean. New generations will have their new vision, will put their fingerprints all over to start things again and again from the beginning. Because if we will stay as we are now, I think that we will not be, we will not expect to have tourists back again into our country. This is a very big, for me, it's a very big problem. If we will go through the details, as you said before, it seems that they are doing this in purpose. It seems that they do not want to do the renovation. It seems they do not want to do the maintenance unless the high season started, and then they start to do the
to drive away tourists. Yeah.
Each and everything. But frankly speaking, the tourist sectors to do things right.
There's no check-up on these people to see, the decision they're taking, and like what the decision is yielding. That it's breaking away. It's destroying every effort that is being done in order to attract tourists. What they do is like to demolish the whole industry this way.
The whole problem, I think, is due to a lack of communication between the ministries and the governors. Because if there is enough communication between the ministries and the governments, and I mean here Aswan and Luxor and Hurghada, but it seems that there is no communication at all. There is a lack of communication.
It's a lack of communication that as always Egyptians don't work in teams. They hate teamwork, so nothing really works that way. We have to be in teamwork. So there should be teams organized in order to have all the parties concerned, in order to parties, in certain refurbishing of places and attracting tourism, all the parties concerned in order to prop up figures, of people coming to Egypt.
You mean the one-man show concept?
Yes.
Sometimes you are quite right. Sometimes you are right. One-man show concept is taking place in several places, but to face a crisis like we are facing now, I think we need to communicate with each other.
Yes.
How come the one who is working to get the tourists back is the Minister of Civil Aviation? How come?
One very interesting comment I heard, actually several comments like that, when they say, nothing wrong in the traffic, Sisi's to blame. Sisi's to blame. It's like, how come he's to blame for everything? There are other people. There are people concerned. There is a government there. There is this, there's this, there's that. No, he is to blame. What for? So it's like going back to the person, who's, delegating actually authorities to other people to do that and just blaming him for this. But then it looks like that, this,
As we were discussing before in several episodes, we have to launch new centers.
Yes.
Especially in the touristic destinations. I mean a center between Luxor and Aswan, a center in nearby Sharm el-Sheikh, another one in Hurghada, and a fourth one in Cairo. In these centers, we have to generate and to establish new training sessions for those people who are not working in the tourism industry, and for those who are graduated from the faculties and the institutions and the schools of tourism and hotel management, and so that we can just have enough people to put them and to spread them all over the four destination to have enough staff. It is not that complicated. We have a lot of people.
Then why can they comprehend something like this? Why? Is it hard to comprehend? That's the thing, you know, or is it, again, the traditional ways that the ways that are unfunctional or dysfunctional, they don't work, and they still are functioning the same way, and nobody's telling them to just change that, or no, as you said, planning for success. That's what we aim. But then, you know, they're not aiming for anything. They're just, you know, like, you know, they don't care. They're just going that way. Doesn't work. It doesn't work.
They
It
are
doesn't
just
work.
taking decisions without have without have enough experience. What are the effect of this decision? Yes, of course, of course. Look, we cannot lose hope. We aim to have, as I said before, centers.
Yeah.
Those centers, I think there is one already built in Elmenia. Another one is already in Luxor. So we just need more, two more. One will be in Cairo, and I think Cairo, it's so easy to have a building to serve for this purpose. And the last place is Sharm el-Sheikh, and I'm also sure that in Sharm el-Sheikh it will be so easy to find a building for this purpose.
Yeah.
But why we are leaving our people, and especially those who are graduated already, staying on without jobless? Why don't we take them and to train them and to put them where they want to be, and where we want them to be?
Exactly.
We need them to generate. We need them to work. We need them to have their own productivity. And the whole nation needs this.
Yeah.
If we will go through the hotel section, most of the people who were working there, they left their job.
Yes.
Either to go outside Egypt, or to switch their job to another job, because of what is happening. This fluctuation of business in the hotel sector and in the tourist sector, ups and down, people got bored.
Yeah.
They had that feeling that nothing is secured. And they started to change their mind, and either to go to another countries to find a job, or otherwise to switch to another job.
Well, hopefully, you know, things differ next time when we talk, and things are just done the right way and the way they should be. Dr. Mohammed Abdelaziz, thank you very much for being with us.
Thank you.
I'd like also to again re-congratulate our audience and the Islamic world on the occasion of the birth of Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him. On that note, we leave you. And we say, God bless our Egypt, God bless Egyptians, God bless our president, and God bless our Egyptian army. I'm Nermin Nazim signing off. We leave you now in the company of my colleague Nermin Abdulrahman with the latest in the stock market.
Egyptian companies signed cooperation agreements with their Slovenian counterparts in the sectors of energy, cables and pharmaceuticals. The Ministry of Industry and Trade said that the three new cooperation agreements were signed between Iskra Company and Switch Group, Robertina Sebanic and Solera, and Radix Pharma, and the holding company for pharmaceuticals. Minister of Industry and Trade, Tariq Qabil, said the ministry seeks to increase the trade exchange between Egypt and Slovenia in the coming period, noting that the trade volume between both countries has registered 161 million euros in 2015, with an increase of 12% compared to 2014. The Egyptian exchange AGX is likely to keep fluctuating as a healthy correction movement after the upward streak witnessed over the past sessions. The market index limitedly rose yesterday for the fifth session to end below the resistance 11,700 and above the support 11,375. Market analysts expected the sideways movement to continue as long as EGX 30 stands below the previous resistance. The index rose slightly, closing at 11,502, and it's expected to continue towards 12,000. Minister of International Cooperation Dr. Sahar Nasr and Minister of Trade and Industry Tarek Qabil signed an agreement with the United Nations Development Program, UNDP, for a $3.5 million donation to support solar energy projects with the aim of increasing clean energy connected to Egypt's national grid. The agreement represents the government's concern for using Egypt's solar resources to produce clean energy. The goal is to generate 22% of Egypt's total electricity power from renewable sources by the year 2020. The Central Bank of Egypt announced that its foreign exchange reserves increased by $4.01 billion as the end of November 2016, up from 19.04 to register 23.06 billion at the end of October. The size of its foreign currencies at the end of November rose by 4.21 billion to a record 19.83 billion, up from 15.62 billion at the end of October. Meanwhile, the value of gold included in the reserves declined by $164 million to reach 2.45 billion, down from 2.62 billion. The stock of Orascom Telecom Media and Technology Holding saw its second biggest decline in one day in 2016 after the company announced the resignation of the CEO and Egyptian billionaire business Naguib Sawiris. The stock dropped 9.89% and closed Monday's trading session at 0.82 Egyptian pound. OTMT did not reveal the reasons for the resignation, saying that Sawiris will continue serving in his position until a new CEO is appointed and registered. The way that England's railway network is run is set to be overhauled under plans outlined by Transport Secretary Chris Grayling. He wants each rail franchise to be run by joint management teams, including representatives from both the train operating company and Network Rail. The changes will start when each franchise is renewed in the future. The minister said he wanted the changes to improve services for passengers who are traveling on an increasingly crowded and expensive network. Oil prices slipped off more than one-year highs as traders took profits after the sharp rally that followed last year's decision by the Organization of the Petroleum Exporting Countries to cut production. Brent crude LGOG7 1.91%. The global oil benchmark fell 37 cents or 0.7% to $54.56 a barrel on London's ICE futures exchange. Greece has won some relief from its debt burden following the latest talks with Eurozone finance ministers. The Eurogroup agreed to a series of measures which include waiving an interest rate increase which was due to take place next year. Greece has needed 3 bailouts since 2010 and relies on credit from international bodies to avoid bankruptcy. It's not the first time Greece has received debt relief from the Eurozone, but Eurozone ministers said there were still questions to be answered over reform efforts, which is why the latest review of the bailout process has still not been approved. Wall Street's record run looked set for a pause as oil saw its first fall in 5 days and the euro held most of the wild 3 cents gains it had seen in the wake of Italy's referendum. Italy remains squarely in focus, with sources telling Reuters that state aid had been prepared for the world's oldest bank, Banca Monte di Paschi di Siena, and a crucial European Central Bank meeting looming. Italian shares as much as 1.5% and its bond yields eased back to below pre-referendum levels, while the euro was at 1.075 US dollars, knocked just a touch by revived talk of a snap Italian election. Shares had earlier been impressed by news that German industrial orders rose at their fastest pace for more than 2 years, stoking hopes that Europe's largest economy is set for an acceleration in the coming months. Donald Trump's Twitter fueled provocations of China are underscoring just how much the world's 2 biggest economies have to lose if tensions were to escalate. Trump risked angering China on Friday by taking a call from Taiwan's President Tsai Ing-wen, a first for a U.S. president or president-elect with any Taiwan leader since the year 1979. For decades, the United States has not recognized Taiwan as a separate state from the mainland China. The U.S. and China have enormous economic entanglements, and both could be seriously hurt if tensions were to escalate into economic retribution. Neither of the trading partners has clear advantage over the other, and any policy designed to hit the other country's economy may only lead to mutual assured destruction. Gold extended its slump for the second day as it slipped below the 29,000 mark by falling 250 to an over 6-month low to 28,800 per 10 grams in the bullion market Tuesday, tracking a subdued global trend. Moreover, reduced offtake by jewelers owing to a considerable fall in demand at the domestic spot market in the view of prevailing cash crunch following demonetization of high-value note hurt sentiment. The Kuwaiti bourse witnessed a grouped rise during November 2016 when compared to the performance in October. The price index of Kuwait Stock Exchange gained 2.84% or more than 153 points to end November at 5,554.46 points when compared to 5,401.07 points in the previous month.